everyone, and welcome to the Jeff Willis Show. Today I have with me Tommy Mello. Now, Tommy's actually quite a young man compared to me, really, and he wants to actually have world domination. In other words, he wants to own the garage business, door business in America, which he seems to be well on his way to do that. He is the founder of A1 Garage Doors, a 50 million plus home service business with over 360 employees in 17 states. And we're going to find out where the inspiration came to start a garage door business and what he's learned along the way and what the inspiration has for him. So welcome to the show, Tommy. It's an absolute pleasure.
Hey, me as well. Thank you for letting me on. Appreciate it, Jeff.
So Tommy's from Scottsdale, Arizona. And so Tommy, what was your first sort of experience as an entrepreneur? Did it start before you started the garage door business?
Yeah, so I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, about an hour outside of Detroit. And my dad had a transmission shop. My mom became a real estate agent. So they were really self-made business people. So I learned a lot about it as a kid. So, of course, being in Michigan, you shovel snow and you mow lawns. You try to make some money doing that. And then I turned 12 and I was able to get a job at a sports bar at $4.05 an hour under the table washing dishes. They paid me legally when I became 13, which is the legal age to work in Michigan at the time. So yeah, when I moved to Arizona when I was 16, started a small landscape company that became pretty big. Not in regards to the garage door, pretty small, but big for me. And I just always kind of hustled, knew I could make money, but I never knew how to make money when I didn't work. I always could flip cars. I was flipping all kinds, buying and selling stuff. I was bartending. I was doing the landscaping, and I started the garage door business with a buddy of mine. It did okay, but I bought him out in 2010, basically took on some debt from the business. And yeah, I mean, I made every mistake in the book. That's my secret sauce is don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah. So it's true. So you need to take some risk, but you also need to mitigate risk as well, don't you? It's like you don't want to be betting everything all the time. Otherwise it gets a little bit scary and it takes you out of comfort zone.
Well, here's a philosophy. There's a book here that I want to read a little excerpt about that I read over the last week. Outsized returns often come from betting against conventional wisdom, and conventional wisdom is usually right. Given a 10% chance of 100 times payoff, you should take that bet every time. But you're still going to be wrong 9 out of 10 times. We all know that if you swing for the fences, you're going to strike out a lot, but you're also going to hit some home runs. The difference between baseball and business, however, is that baseball is a truncated outcome distribution. When you swing, no matter how well you connect with the ball, the most runs you could get is 4. In business, however, every once in a while you step up into the plate, you could score 1,000 runs. This long tail distribution of returns is why it's important to be bold. Big winners pay for so many experiments. Jeff Bezos. So that's Amazon. That's one of the second largest company in the world right now, second richest man in the world. And I do think if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you want to be conservative, you'll always have a tiny business. You got to be able to take educated chances.
Yeah, I think I like that term, educated chances. In other words, you're not just guessing, you're actually taking educated chances. Now, what chose you to choose a garage door business? Where did that idea, was that chat with your mate over a drink at a bar? Where did that come from?
So my buddy, one day he calls me up and he actually was my roommate at the time. And he says, "Hey buddy, hey Tommy, do me a favor. I don't know if you'd be interested, but would you be interested in painting garage doors? I'm answering phones. I'm a manager at a garage door company." And I said, "How much does it pay?" And he goes, "Well, I could probably get you about $100 a garage door to paint them. Should be a fairly easy job, only take a couple hours per door." And I said, "I'll give it a shot." So I hired a painter to teach me. I never had painted with a sprayer. And I paid the guy the whole money all 3 or 4 times. And then I went to Home Depot, bought a sprayer. I kind of just systematically built the standard operating procedure. I could do 10 doors a day. So I was making $1,000 minus the paint, the tape, and the paper, and some of the other tools to clean the gun and filters. I was making about $80 a door, so I could make $800 net a day. Mm-hmm. I had some gas in there, so probably $750. I was driving a G20 Infinity, a 95 G20 Infinity. So I just drove a car around, got it all to fit in the trunk, and just had it all calculated. And I'd meet with these garage door guys in the business, and they were telling me how much they were making and whatnot. And one day my other roommate started working for him as a technician, and he was making 90 grand in 2005. So I said, dude, I got to see this business. Take me for a ride along. So he showed me the margins and how it worked. And they wanted me to do a business. So we started up a business, just me and my buddy Gabe. And we really learned the hard way. I got to tell you, like I said, it's every mistake in the book. We got on the yellow pages, hence A1 garage door service. But we didn't really know what we were doing when it came to Valpak taxes, tax planning. I was the marketing guy, the installer, the technician, the driver, the inventory management, the tax prepper, everything. And I realized I'm not really good at any of this. So read a lot of books. One day, my CPA, for some reason, he had a liking for me. I was his 11th client because he got rid of his clients years ago. And I got introduced to him. He goes, I like your energy. I think you're going to be somebody. He goes, in fact, I think you're going to be my biggest client one day. And he's got a couple clients over 300 million. And he goes, I don't know. I just got a knack for this thing. But here's what I want to see. I want you to go home and read this book. He gave me the E-Myth. And I wasn't a reader. I brought the book back 2 days later and I said, this is amazing. He goes, well, here's the Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. I call this the Red Bible. Go read this. Next day, bring it back. What else? He goes, here's the Richest Man in Babylon. We went on, and I started reading, and now I'm a crazy reader, and I'm obsessed with it. And I'm obsessed with visiting companies that are bigger than me. I'm obsessed with just learning, and I'm a visionary. I'm not the integrator in the company. I'm a heavy visionary.
That's very interesting about your reading. Now, how many hours a day would you read, Tommy?
Well, you see, that really depends, because I'll read all day for a day, and then I won't read for a week, or I'll read on a plane. I can knock out a couple books because I got 1,100 books on Audible, and every single book, I've got another bookshelf over there. I got a bunch of bookshelves at home. So I try to knock out a few books, 3 to 5 a month.
Yep.
Sometimes even more, depending on the time of year and what's going on with the business and whatnot.
So would you say that that education driven by book reading has been one of your secret sauce?
Yeah, the books are make my brain kind of think outside of the box. And I'm involved with different businesses. So there's always something that I could correlate, because I'm not locked down by just home service and garage doors. I've got some real estate stuff going on. I've got some different things going on with lead generation and websites and optimization. So I'm able to kind of a much larger spectrum. But I think one of the largest things, that couple catalysts. Number one, I got my integrator in 2014, who's really set me free to go ahead and be the guy I am. So I hired around my weaknesses, and I got people that are better organized. They're more analytical. They can work software better than me. I definitely don't try to excel at my weaknesses. I just hire people for them. I try to focus on my strengths. And I'd say 2017, I got on ServiceTitan, which is a CRM. That was a super, super good move. And then another big one was I have a mentor named Al Levy, the 7 Power Contractor. And then the other one was I started a podcast, and I started interviewing geniuses, and I could ask them anything I want about any subject I want. So I'd get the number one seller of, I had Michael Gerber on here, for example, and he was okay. I mean, I liked the guy, but it wasn't the best stuff he put was in the book. But the 1-page marketing plan, I've had 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I've had a million companies, Ken Goodrich with Gettle, and it opened up my eyes. So there's a lot of things that I think there's a couple handfuls of things that have built us into the business we are today.
You mentioned one thing. So you mentioned the term integrator. That changed your life. What do you mean by integrator?
Well, there's a great book called Rocket Fuel.
Yep.
And what he explains is Mark Winters and Gino Wickman. And he explains that Walt Disney would have never been anything without his brother Roy. Yep. Roy knew what was in the bank account. Roy knew what was going on. He controlled all the construction. He made sure the channels were distributing the cartoons at the right time. He was more, the visionary was Walt. He knew what he wanted to build. He could explain it, but he couldn't get it to the finish line. He was the integrators that run the operations. The visionary keeps the gas on. They see a bigger picture. They understand how things work and flow together. So I live on Mars, and I look down at Earth as the company. And when there's a volcano or a hurricane, I kind of look and see what's going on there from a distance and kind of make sure I'm delegating properly. But when you could really understand it. A real integrator is somebody that can keep up with the visionary and help them get their dreams and goals onto paper and hit the destination. And it's very rare. Some people could do both, but if you are both, you'll never be good at either one. That means you might need a bigger visionary, but my vision has to be able to fit everyone else's vision within it. Meaning if I've got a person next door over here, I've got, over 420 employees now. These guys all have a goal and a dream. So my vision's got to be big enough that they can hit their dreams and own their homes and go on their vacations and have a good retirement and put their kids in their private school and be able to take care of their parents when they're older. So I've got a pretty freaking big vision.
I love the fact that you mentioned that, Walt Disney wouldn't have been the same without his brother. And that applied also to Microsoft, didn't it? And also to Apple.
They've all had their right hands. And, there's a deal here where I'll say this, though. Sometimes the people that could take you here can't take you to the next. There's certain guys that they meet each other, they could go all the way to the top. But then again, you look at something like Apple, you look at something like Tesla, you look at something, they're new technology. I chose garage doors, which are really, I think it's kind of cool. It's 40% of your curb appeal. It's considered the smile of your home. You get 100% return on investment. It's the highest thing in Remodel Magazine that's not biased. So I like it, but the real deal is I know home service like the back of my hand now. I know KPIs, I know standard operating procedures. I know how to write manuals. I know software. So and marketing and sales are my two go-tos. So, and now I'm getting into consolidation. So I think my favorite word in the world is arbitrage, and I've mastered it. But ultimately, this is not the end for me. There will be things I go on to do that come a lot with AI technology and outside of the home service realm. This is getting me from point A to point B. It's my goal. And this will set me into the rare, I think there's about 2,500 people that are in the billionaire club. And that's not important to me to say I'm in the club. It's important to me to be able to do what I want to do in life, to be able to have that kind of influence and become that big of a giver, I should say. I want to take a lot of people along for the ride. And I think they're taking me along for the ride too. I always tell people I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I've got the best crew anybody could ever want. They allow me to be me. They give me a lot of freedom, and they deal with my quirks, because sometimes I'll invade and I'll jump back in. And sometimes I got to warn my own self to give, just stay. I'm always going 100 miles an hour, and I've got ADHD, but it's controlled and focused, but my brain doesn't shut off. I got a whiteboard in my room. I got one in my kitchen. I've got 25 files on here that I add to every single day with different ideas. And then I update people on every single one of them, and I delegate it all. So a lot going on.
Yeah. So I want to talk about culture in a minute, but I want to go back to what you mentioned when you started the garage door painting. You created basically a process and a system, didn't you? In other words, you worked out how you could get, the system you needed to do and process to actually get 10 doors done a day, didn't you?
Yep.
And then in other words, what I'm detecting, also what you talked about with integrators as well as others, is actually the way to scale a business best is to do something really boring that's called process and systems.
You know what? Process and systems are boring, but when you're small in business, you become an amazing firefighter. And the employees, they really beat themselves on the chest, and they love fires because they're good at putting them out. And it's constant. I asked one of my managers several years ago, I said, show me your day. Show me your planned day. And he says, dude, my day's not planned. He goes, I don't know what's going to happen that day, but I make sure it all goes smooth at the end of the day. And I go, that's the messed up answer. Think about that. Mm-hmm. Your day is being stolen from you. When you have standard operating procedures, manuals, when you really get things, checklists dialed in. When I met Al Levy, the 7-power contractor, he really got us dialed in and helped us learn these processes. And I remember saying one day, it's kind of boring. Everything's kind of running very good. And so I went out and I said, I'm just going to have to 10 times the business size. So that's what I've done. And not me. Let me just say, like I said, I've got 1 million coworkers here that bust their humps, and they're amazing. So this is not, I have a dream, but these guys literally are making it a reality. So I don't deserve I'll take a few percent of the credit, but I really got to give it to them.
Well, you're the conductor, really, aren't you? The visionary that actually needs to conduct and make sure all the things fit together. So what I did notice too is he mentioned Al Levy, who's a consultant. You spent 6 figures building manuals.
I did. I spent a lot of money with him. Probably, I don't know if he's going to listen to this, but probably paid him a couple $100,000, and it's a fart in the wind compared to what I made with him. So. I was probably one of his last clients that he actually took on and worked full time with, and actually sat in my office and we worked through it. And a guy like me going over a tattoo policy, it's like, I don't really care. And I love, I'm like, really, we're doing this? And he's like, Tommy, he's like, this is important. You'll really be happy. So I did it. It was excruciating, and I know what it's like. And what I really, really try to find, I don't think I'm good at a lot of things. I really don't. And I know I'm not. And you put me in a room, I'll figure out a pivot table. I'll go ahead. I could do Excel. I could get into the accounting. I could probably learn service type, but I don't, because I can't stand it. I was going to be a dentist. I took all the pre-dental classes, biochemistry, anatomy, physiology, you name it. I took organic chemistry. I took calculus. And the classes weren't tough. But then when I went and interned with the dentist, he goes, number one, if I were you, I'd get a business degree. So I got a master's of business. But he goes, I don't see you being a dentist. And the deal is who am I supposed to pretend? Who am I fooling? Only myself. By saying, oh, I'm good at anything I do. Everybody wants to make themselves feel good. I'll tell you, man, I'm not very organized. She is, who takes care of me. I'm not very good at time management. Bree is my assistant. There's about 100 things that I'm not good at. And I like hiring very good people. And I like it on the org chart to figure out what those people look like. And I used to wear every hat on the org chart. And then I said, I hate this. So that's the first person I'd hire. And I said, I hate this one. So then I'd hire them. And here's a little secret. I'd rather have, let's just picture I was paying a guy $60,000 to be a CFO, right? Yep. $60,000. Now pretend I'd rather hire a $400,000 person. Now I only want them for 4 hours a week. So I'm only paying $40,000 now for a $400,000 person. So this guy tells us exactly how to get set up. He tells us exactly what chart of accounts. He tells us exactly how to build a budget. And he's got $400,000 worth of experience a year versus your $60,000 guy working 50 hours a week and getting you into a crap, getting you in the poop all the time. So I'd rather pay the $400K for 10% of the time and have him 4 hours a week to guide me than have a full-time guy that doesn't know how to use any of the tools or technology out there.
Yeah, I think it's very wise. I think one of the best first hires I had was a great bookkeeper. And I didn't have to worry about tax. She says, you got to pay this right here, right now. I hated accounting. In fact, that was my first part of the degree. For 1 year, I did accounting. I hated it. So I've hired someone when I started the business, I hired to do something that, just like you said, you hated. So, and yeah, it makes my eyes bleed. It makes my head spin because I'm not a detail guy either, right? So the vision is really important. And that leads me to the next part, which I think is really important. Notice that you mentioned is that you are the visionary, but you want to also make sure that you bring the people along with you to help them realize their dreams. And this gets to the core of company culture, doesn't it?
Yeah, the culture, I used to hate that word back in the 2008, 9, 10. I used to, even 11 and 12, it was like I'd walk into work, there's people taking cigarette breaks, I'm busting my butt. And I'd say, no one cares like I care. And finally I realized, why would they care? It's not their business. You see, I see all these people that are saying people are lazy, these millennials, they don't do crap around here, blah, 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 blah. You haven't set them up for success. They don't know what winning looks like. They don't have any reporting that comes back to them. The fact is that I see people that complain about culture because they're very, very bad leaders and they have no right to own a business. Mm. And I'm fine telling people this. Yeah. I don't care if you like me or not. If you find yourself, relationships are difficult, you can't keep employees happy, you wonder why everybody else around you is no good and you can't delegate, then you're a really crappy leader. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm not doing good. Because when I was in football, baseball, soccer, or basketball, what I learned is a great coach could make me into an A player. A crappy coach, I would be horrible. I didn't work with the team. I didn't know how to dribble right. I wasn't running through the right exercises. I wasn't practicing right. And you know what? I've seen the Tom Brady's of the world come out with the right coach and become, 6, 7 Super Bowls. Whereas I see other guys that, all-star college, they go to the wrong coach in football and they don't get it. And really, there's another good book called The Coaching Effect. It talks about being a great mentor and coach. And I like this. I don't want any managers. I only want coaches. I want people saying, catch somebody doing something right. There's so many freaking crappy owners out there that whip people in the back and say, you get a write-up. You get time off. You get this. You're not good enough. What? Why don't you celebrate when you show up on time? Why don't you celebrate that you had a good day? Why don't you celebrate that you set a personal record? We call it performance improvement plans. I just call it an opportunity to make more money and help us all out. And listen, if you want to hit your goals this year, let me help you. But I want to hear your real goals. What do you want? So I'll say, Jeff, what do you want? Do you want to take your dad on a long-term cruise for 3 weeks? Do you want to take your wife out for a 10-year anniversary? You want to put your kids here? What do you want to do? What do you want to give your future self? Let's at least get you with a really high credit score and get you under home ownership. So let's build a guide for you. So I'm hiring a dream manager right now. And we're looking at every single person's dreams in their real life and helping them tell them what they need to do here. Because when you understand when you peel back that onion, several layers, and you know what they really, really want, and you help them get there, they're going to be loyal. Your attrition rate's going to go down. The things that are going to matter are going to be crazy. They're going to have a bigger why. Instead of giving somebody a bump at the end of the year, if they're marathon runners, get them a pair of $400 shoes. Get them a pair of $400 shoes and watch what happens. Every time they put on those shoes every day to go jogging, they're going to think about a great company. People need enough money, though. This is important. There's a guy named Daniel Pink, and he said this. People need enough money to pay their essential bills and pay for gas and pay for their kids, new clothes. But after that fee, whatever it is, 60, 70 grand, the money's it's not very important. What is acknowledgement. I help somebody get at their credit score. I help them understand how home ownership. I help them get through a loan. That's my plan. And you know what? I'll never be perfect at it, but I'll die trying to become very, very good. And I don't believe I'll ever get it figured out, but every single day I'm going to try harder to get it right.
I love the fact that you're in the middle of hiring a dream manager. That is so cool.
Well, if you read, there's a book called The Dream Manager. So I just sent a gal off. I paid 10 grand to get her trained. And what it says is, can I give you a little summary real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I love books. I love a summary. Distill it.
So there's this guy, and he's working for this janitorial service. And he talks to the owner and he says, you want me to become a better manager? I think we need to find out the root of our problem here. He goes, it was mostly Hispanic workers. And he said, would you mind if I did a survey and find out why they leave? And he goes, what's a survey going to do? Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, let me just do it. So he sends out a survey. And the number one reason they were quitting is because they didn't have a way to get to work.
Yep.
So what he did was he started a carpool and he made sure every worker could get to work. And they said, hold on, we got something here. Attrition rate was getting better and better. So people weren't falling off as much. So then he said, okay, what else could we do? Send out another survey. And they said, you know what would mean a lot to us? The majority of them said, if we could learn English better.
Wow.
So they started English teaching classes. Well, then they got the kids involved, and then they actually had surveys out, and then they actually built this whole Dream Manager program because they said, this is changing. Now, all of a sudden, the employees are recruiters. They're going out and getting customers and new people to work for us. We're getting 5-star reviews. We're not losing employees, and everybody's happy. And it's a great life. And it really is. So it's a mix of the Dream Manager. It's a mix of gifts. It's a mixture of giftology. It's a mix of making sure that people understand that you're acknowledging their weddings and birthdays. And we're working on some software things. And then I think the 5 languages of the workplace is good too, to understand. You might think acknowledging somebody and bringing them up in front of the room is great, but that might destroy them. So really understanding on an individual level who they are and what gets them excited is a big piece of it as well.
Yeah. So when did the importance of team culture and company culture when was that light bulb moment for you? When did you go, shit, this is actually really important?
There was a light bulb. One day they came out and they told me we have this bad virus going around called COVID-19. And I said, oh, great. What's this going to do? And me and Adam got together and we built an Excel sheet of every employee. And I said, look, if I got to go run jobs, we're not letting this company go down. I said, we've got a good thing going here. And for the better of the good, we need to figure out a way to this to work. So I had to make announcements every day, whether it was an email or a video or a text message to all the staff. And I let them know where we were at. This is before the PPP money and everything. And I had a line up out this door right here. And there was employees that came in here one by one. And they said, listen, I'm going to cut my pay in half.
Wow.
For the next 6 months. And somebody said, I want to donate all my PTO. Kind of makes me teary-eyed right now thinking about it, because people were calling me saying, we'll do whatever it takes to make this work. And we care about other employees that need time off with their families. And at that point, I figured out, man, these guys are what make this thing tick. So everything in my life needs to be around making them better and making sure, not better, but making their lives better and making sure they're hitting their goals. So, what I wanted to do is figure out a way to give them back in more ways than one. So we get a group of 30 trainees here. We go at least 1 to 2 days a week out of their training. We send them over to the YMCA, or they actually pack lunches for the homeless. We've raised 25,000 bottles of water. We do shop with a cop for the kids that don't get Christmas presents. And these guys are all involved, and as good as we do, we could do way better. And it's something to where we've got a program called A1 Cares, but getting out of the community, giving a crap about people, making sure people have a Thanksgiving dinner. Look, like I said, it could be better. And I'm not saying I'm I'm not coming here as the Pope saying, thou shalt give to everybody. But what I am saying is I think we've done a good job. I think we could do way better. And my goal is to continue to give right to the source. And the first place you should look is in your backyard. If you got a single mother driving here with bald tires on her car, figure out a way to get tires for her. I don't think you need to give to charity before you could give to your own people. And I think that's a big mistake out there, because people want to get the attention. But sometimes it's left better unsaid. I've done some nice things for people, and I'm not bragging, but I don't need attention. It's very, very private what I've done, because it's very, very personal, and I don't need to go into it. But I think that sometimes doing something, I'll send a person $1,000 here and there. And I think it's important. And it's my personal money that I'm sending. It's not the company's money, because I don't need anybody in the company asking me about it, because I do care. And it's very hard to find people that care. But I know I've got a lot of people that they care. And that's getting to that point. But everybody really does care if you can find out what they care about. I don't think, the older generation said, pay me more money every month and I'll be happy. I'll come to work and I'll hate it. Younger people, they say, I want to enjoy work. I want to be challenged. I want to know my input counts. I want to be educated more. And I'll take a little bit less money, but I'll love coming and doing what I do. So they call it work-life balance. I think that's a bunch of crap, because work-life balance, and, people say, there's a good book by Dan Thurman called Off Balance on Purpose. Mm-hmm. And if you work a lot, you're probably not praying every day. If you're with your family all the time, you're probably not working enough. If you're working and you're good with God and you're with your family, you're probably not working out enough, and you're definitely not meditating enough. So you're always off balance, and you got to understand there's seasons in life and when to go get it. Because I'm making sure I'm set up so 46 and 56 and 70-year-old Tommy are taken care of if something happens, or if I fall out of love with what I'm doing, which I don't think I will in the next 2 years, but because I love it. I feel like I've been doing this 2 weeks. That's what I feel like.
Well, you're still in love with it. That's really cool. Now, another thing you mentioned here is about personal growth. And it sounds like you're not only interested in personal growth for you, you're interested in personal growth for your employees.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Absolutely. In fact, Bree is getting ready to go to it's called an executive assistant. I don't know, I think it's $6,000. It's a fart in the wind, really, for the, she asked for that. Boom, done. People ask me to go to a course or a school or a training. Boom, done. You want to go out of town to do something? I've got guys flying all over the country getting trained on certain things right now. I think it's awesome when they ask for it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're trying to help your whole team and company grow. So how do you do this when you got over 400 employees to keep, to help everyone? I know you drew up a list at the beginning of COVID by the sounds of every employee, and then and how did you actually get in touch with every one of them to understand what their dreams were? Was that done via their managers? How do you scale this company culture to help other people realize their dreams? How do you scale this?
So number one, you got to have a pretty robust HR department, and you got to have a pretty robust software system to be able to handle surveys. Something as simple as SurveyMonkey to find out, let me know what your 2022 goals are. Let me know. I like to know, is homeownership in the future or is it currently? I like to know, do you feel like your credit score? Do you feel like you could get some lessons? We subscribe to Dave Ramsey for every employee. Dave Ramsey's a financial guidance counselor that tells people how to spend and save money. Personally, I don't believe in any one thing he says because I'm the 1% that was saving. Me and my sister used to go to church and I wouldn't eat my candy all year. I'd have this big thing. We'd get one thing of candy each Sunday. She ate hers the minute she got it. And there's a thing called Parkinson's law. It says if you have it, you use it. Whether it's space, you use it. If it's toothpaste, you're very kind with toothpaste till you run out of it. And now you're like, I got to make this last 3 days. Toilet paper, same way. So I've been very fortunate, and I believe in leverage. I was just signing paper for another house. I'm taking a loan on it. I'm putting 20% down. I'm not going to have to pay the PMI. And I'm also getting renters in there to pay triple the mortgage. So, I'm used to using leverage, but I don't recommend people using leverage like I do, not the average American, because they will end up in debt.
So the other thing I've found curious is that you mentioned was basically your CRM was one of the most important things you did. In other words, software.
Yep.
And I think, and I was reading a book the other day that mentioned the fact that software is basically very underestimated in terms of how it improves our lives. And for example, we use Trello as a collaboration tool within the company. And sure, that changed my life 2 years ago because it really just allowed us to collaborate and create much better processes and systems and communication. We've got a long way to go with that, but on a lot of other things. But what I think we sometimes forget is the use of really good software. So the CRM software used, and what are some of your favorite software that's helped you manage and grow the company that you think's made a huge impact?
Well, there's 4 major factors that you need to think about with software, and these are just the basics, but I'll go ahead and I'll explain them to you. So the main 4 are your payroll software, which will also have HR involved. I recommend everything. They automatically send out all the new stuff with labor laws. You put them on the wall. It handles your payroll. It tells you certain things about insurance, everything. There's a feeding system in there. Number 2 is your CRM, your customer relationship management system. Get a very robust one with a really, really nice user interface that can handle pushing and pulling different things. It's called an API, which is an application process interface, then a webhook. So it's got to have webhooks. Number 3 is your VoIP system, voice over internet protocol. We use Dialpad that hooks directly up with my CRM. And number 4 is your financial, which is going to be QuickBooks, or if you're like us, we got too big, we use Intact. Those are your 4 cores. Now, of course, I'm a data dork, so I love pulling in data. So I can pull in people's credit score. I can pull in all kinds of data from the distribution models, so I know what's in stock. I'm pulling in Facebook links, Yelp links, LinkedIn links, Instagram links, Zillow links of the home. I know how much you paid off on your house. I can tell you guys, I've got the unfair advantage because I could do regression testing. I could tell if the house is worth this much and it's this. And when you look at a bell curve and you understand confidence intervals and statistics, you can start to take assumptions over time with data. And that's how the foundation of artificial intelligence began, is taking enough probability. So you could start leaning things in your favor. If humidity hits this and it's this degrees, this many air conditioning units are going to break down. And over time, I know my payroll within 1% every week, which is, I tell you this, it's a lot of money each month. It's not cheap. It's several hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. So when you know these things, the data is key. But don't get obsessed with the data until you've got an amazing recruiting and training program. Because here's the deal. I'll take my best guy and I'll send him to the worst job ever statistically, and he'll freaking murder it. I'll send my worst guy to the best job and he'll fail. So don't let this AI or algorithms or whatever you want to call it and data, don't let that skew your mindset to think that you don't have to train people and role play and motivate, because the human element will change everything. And then the Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Apple thought they were going to come in, the big four, and they thought we're just going to Uberize the whole industry. They think they can Uberize anything. The problem is it's not just a mapping system with someone that owns a car, because grandma could do that. A 21-year-old could do that. Someone that's handicapped could do that. You need to have a lot of things go right in the home service space. You need to have a vehicle that's equipped, you're trained, drug test, background checks, there's liability, there's a CRM, there's people, there's weather in the way, there's a million other factors. People say, oh yeah, I own 25 McDonald's. I'm like, that's easy because it's a closed system. You're under one small roof. All you got to do is control, they call it the POS, point of sale systems. That's easy. I'm literally standing in a 10-foot area doing the same thing. So the reason why it's scalable in the home services, there's a lot of different instances and things that come from the outer world. But I'll tell you this, if you can make it in home service and it's something like garage doors or chimney sweeping or HVAC has been very successful since the early 90s, just like HVAC, plumbing, electrical. But my philosophy is I could do anything after this. There's nothing that'll surprise me. You put me in a restaurant chain, oh my God, I'll have 500 locations within the first year because it's easy. I'm not going to say that you got to bend over backwards. One of the things I say is treat people like mom. I will treat everybody like my mom. If my mom needs help taking out the Christmas lights and I'm at a house doing garage doors, I'm going to help her take the Christmas lights off. I'll do whatever it takes because that's who we are. Here's our core values. I got our mission and vision. You got to know this stuff and you got to let it bleed through the company, and you got to be open to new ideas. So
what is the vision? Can you read that out?
The vision is to become the largest and most trusted garage door company in North America. Okay. So we're literally, so here's a secret sauce. You're going to love this, Jeff. I want to buy out 100 companies this year. People would say, you're freaking on crack. That's crazy. It can't be done. And I love when they say that. And I said, well, what would have to happen? Number one, I'd have to have a best practices and buyers club like Nexstar. So I know the CEO of Nexstar. He's an amazing guy. He came and spoke at my event. Julian is his name, Julian Scadden. So I said, all right. So I went and I traveled across the United States to learn everything I could. And I started it. It's starting this January. There was 70 companies at the first event. I said, I need to make them walk, talk, and act like me. I said, I need them to become profitable. They got to be able to pass what's called the quality of earnings. So here's what I said. I said, I'm creating this thing where they're a white belt, then they turn into a yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, blue belt, purple belt, all the way up to black belt. Then they could become degrees. So I'm giving them an LMS. I'm teaching them what I use. So you get on the 4 same systems I'm on. You get your training center built like mine. You get audited financials. You get the recruiting like us. You get Expensify set up. You get your truck set up like us. You get background checks and drug tests. You get your tool set up. You start the gamification systems that we're doing. We're going to help you with the manuals. Once you get all these things, you're a black belt. Then I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, listen, Jeff, you're doing 400 grand now. What I'd like to do is I'd like to partner with you. I would really like, babe. I want to partner with you, and I'm going to make you filthy, filthy rich. And here's how I'm going to do it. Right now, I'm going to give you 3 times EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So that's basically a fancy word for profit. So right now you're making 400K. I'm going to give you 3 times, which is 1.2, but I'm only going to have 50.1%, which is 600K. So you're going to retain half the company. I'm going to give you 600K, but my goal is to double you. So I'm going to get you to 800K. And then I'm going to buy another 30% at 5 times. So 800K times 5 times is 4 million. Now, what I'm going to do on that 4 million is I'm going to give you 30%, which is 1.2 million. And then I still leave you with 20%. Now that 20%, I'm going to double you again to 1.6. Now you're going to love this. 1.6 million of profit times 7 times EBITDA, which is 7 times is what is that? 10.4 million. I think somewhere 10.2. 10.2 million times 20% is another 2.4 million. So I gave you 600,000 for half, 1.2 million for the 30%, and then I gave you 2.4 for the last 20%. I made you a multi-millionaire. And then I'm going to give you the job of your dreams. I know you hate accounting. I know you hate taxes. I know you hate recruiting. I know you hate the damn issues you deal with. So let me deal with all that crap and pay you 6 figures. I'll give you PTO. You'll drive the car you want on the company, and I'll make you $1 million in the process. How does that sound?
I think I'm thinking to get right in right now.
You know what? You're hired, Jeff. You're in.
Mate, so are you, so basically your growth strategy is very much one of acquisition and then just basically putting in really robust systems that actually allow them to scale?
Yes and no. I mean, I still do greenfield, the hub and spoke model. I've been greenfield up to here. We bought out several companies, but it's mostly been greenfield. Greenfield is when you grow organically. The other one is called consolidation or M&A. And when you buy companies, you just have to have a really good line of credit. You got to be able to do things. At first, I had to put insurance policies on myself and sign over my house and my buildings and anything I own and put it all on the line. And that's what I mean. I bet on me. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to take those chances because I know the outcome unless something were to bad happen. And that's why they take an insurance policy and they check your health, because if you die, they want to pay off the loan since you are the company when it's smaller.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll do what's called key man insurance as well, where you'll do a life insurance policy on your upper managers. But that's kind of where we're at now is getting ready to buy companies. But I just love it because if I buy a company for 3 times, right now at our EBITDA level, I'm worth 15 times. Mm-hmm. So that's called 12 times arbitrage, right? So you buy a company for 300,000, you give them their $300,000 company, they're worth 900,000, but you're worth 15 times, you're worth 4.5 million. 4.5 million minus that 900,000, it's $3.6 million left over. And the best way to describe it, Jeff, is in the 1860s, there was a thing called the gold rush in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And they made these clipper ship strategy, clipper ships that were fast. So they put them in New York and they'd get the shoes, bare essentials. You get your shoes, nail clippers, stuff for haircuts, razor blades for shaving, shirts, jeans, shovels, rope. Back then it was kerosene, and they'd ship these clipper ships. They could get to San Francisco in 3 days. They'd pay like 10 cents and they'd charge $2 because the people had the money and they couldn't get it from anywhere else. So they could buy it from one piece. It's like me. I used to buy stuff on Craigslist and sell it in the Arizona Republic. So you could tell I absolutely phenomenal. I just love this stuff.
I can hear it in your voice and your energy, mate. It's very apparent. So just to wrap things up, I'm aware of your time. So what would be the top 2 or 3 things that you would say to entrepreneurs who are wanting to grow their business and make the business work for them, not the business make them work for the business? What were your top 2 or 3 tips?
Number 1, you start without money. You're going to have to put sweat equity in. That means working nights, weekends. That means sacrifice. I think the biggest misconception is if you're like me, you start without anything. I never had anything. I paid for my own college. No one gave me shit. Excuse my French. But at the end of the day, my mom and dad gave me willpower. They gave me love. They gave me affection. They gave me more than money could ever buy. But I would say this, a lot of times when you don't have money, you bust your butt with your significant other. And 2 years into it, you say, we're finally making money. We deserve this. We deserve this vacation house. We deserve this. You finally got ahead. You're finally able to reinvest that money into the business. And you say, we deserve this crap, the snowmobile, the jet skis, the boats. That's the worst thing you could ever do early in a business when you don't have a ton of money, is to not reinvest it. Reinvest it and watch it duplicate every month. And so I'd say reinvest your money. Turn off the freaking blinders. It's the shiny light. We still have it. I always have it. Is, oh my God, that looks fun. I'm going to flip houses. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. If you could sit down and say this, it's so hard to do for entrepreneurs. It's almost impossible. But the trick is you could say yes, but just not today. That's the trick. Because we say yes. We love saying yes, but just not today. Now's not the right time. So until you completely exit the business yourself and you're no longer involved in the day-to-day, I say keep your head grounded. Because most of the businesses, they don't have the money to start. So, people ask me, what does it take to get a big business started, a good business? And I say, number one, you got to pick the right name and the right brand. I didn't do well with A1, but I went too far down. So pick the right name, the right brand, get the right wrap trucks, the right website. The website looks like the wrap truck, looks like the yard sign, looks like the mailers, looks like the billboards, looks like the TV and radio.
Yep.
That's the first thing. Number two is you got to go practice. You call every friend, every family, every neighbor, and you say, listen, I'd like to come out to your house. Let me just tune up your door for $29. Give me some experience here. And then I say this, would you do me a favor, Jeff? Would you leave a review on Nextdoor, Yelp, Google, and Facebook? Put a video up, put this in the ground and let your HOA manager know. When you're small, the David and Goliath, you could get reviews up the yin yang. You got more time for videos. There's so much more things you could do when you're small. And then I'd say, look, once your reputation's built, then you got to get these 4 main KPIs. Your average ticket, you got to get your face-to-face closing ratio, your call booking rate, which I promise you're screwing up. Talk to my friend Susie at CallCap. And then the fourth thing you need to do is get your cost per acquisition. And marketing is crazy. That's why I love it. So you master those 4 things, you'll kill it. And then the final thing I'll say, because I can't shut up and I'm long-winded and this is what I do, is you want to go somewhere, you get a journal. Okay, you get a journal and you start writing down every question in the world that you have about the number 1 or number 2 company in the industry. And you get out of your comfort zone and you fly to another state or another country, usually another state. You fly somewhere far away from home, at least 2-hour flight. And you got this whole journal filled out and you make sure you get a hold of the people there, hopefully the CEO or the COO, maybe the CMO. You talk to some of the directors and VPs, depending. It's a home service company. You might just want to talk to the general manager. I mean, look, these fancy titles, I don't get it. So you got them and you're genuinely interested. You breathe the same air. You smile, you interview the people. You say, can I record this? Maybe yes, maybe no. You just shot down a million notes, but it's different. The oxygen in there is made out of something else. You watch magic happen. And when you're there, you figure out what you need to build. The point of this is the blind leading the blind is mostly what's happening. When you see success and you see systems and you get answers that seem so simple, but why not do this every other month and go to different people that are in different industries that actually are just like yours? Because that way they're not afraid to give you everything. So when you're able to do this, so when you're $1 million company, go see a $5 million company. When you're 5, go see a 20. When you're 20, go see a 50. When you're 50, go see 120. When you're 120, go see a 600. The last 3 shops I've been to are 600 million. We had our budget as of tomorrow will be 74 million plus the companies we bought will be about 90. But the deal is the next year's budget's 151 without any consolidation. So I think I could probably hit 400 done correctly. People say it's impossible. I like my odds of impossible. They've always been impossible for me. When you're the guy that barely has a chance, you don't get to come from nothing. You see, I don't have anything to lose. That's why I'm not afraid to take a chance. When and I don't like, I moved into this really big house and I sold it because I'm like, there's too much stuff that could break. I don't want to have to worry about all this crap.
Anxiety.
I'm a simple guy. I just drive one truck. It's a Titan. I want to focus. There's just too many distractions when I got all this big fancy stuff. I don't need it all.
So in essence, you're still keeping life simple.
I think you have to. I think one day the complicated life for me is traveling all over Europe and Australia and Asia. It's the complicated life is going, I'll use other people's stuff. I'll rent a nice yacht. I don't care. I'd love to be on some nice things and do some nice things and experience the world. Maybe take a little hiatus in a few years, just 6 months. But at the end of the day, you cannot turn me off. You watch this guy retire. I'll fish a day a week and I'll go golfing a day a week. And you know what? I'll enjoy a martini at the end of the night or a glass of wine, whatever it is. Those are my peaceful days, but I can't turn this thing off. It's so.
So I'd call you a big energizer bunny. I reckon that's what you really are. But I have one last question.
Yeah,
Tommy.
enjoying this.
I'm curious. You are incredibly driven, and a lot of entrepreneurs are incredibly driven. And it's almost like someone's turned on a light switch. Where do you think your drive comes from and motivation? Where does it come
I've taken
from?
a lot of personality profiles and everything, but I definitely, there's a point of recognition, a point of people tell me when I can't do something. I really, I won't say I enjoy it, but it's just a lot of people, there's a lot of no people out there. They say no. And the more people say that's impossible, dude. I saw one of the guys that spoke at my events. He's been doing garage doors for 42 years. He said his name's Lyle, and he's the president of the largest company in the world of garage doors. And he shows up and he goes, "You know something, Tommy?" He goes, "I got to tell you, the first time you called me, I thought you were a fast talking young, a guy that wanted the world, but everybody calls me with these thoughts." And he goes, "Then you called me again." And I said, "Holy crap, this guy's spending some good money with me." And he goes, "Then you called me again." And I said, "Oh my God, this guy's spending lots of millions with me." And then you started calling me and I started writing everything down. And he goes, "Because you never did anything you said, everything you said you were going to do has come to fruition." And I said, "Listen, Lyle, I'm just getting started. This is only the beginning, because I'm playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Well, I see 10 years from now, you guys are trying to see what's around the corner with Amazon, and it's fine. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than you. I'm just saying I spend a lot more time thinking about it. When you're golfing and you guys are bowling and you guys are having your bridge night, I'm thinking about garage doors and how to take over an industry. And I'm not saying you're better or I'm better, because whatever makes you happy. What makes me happy is I don't play a game I don't intend to win. And if I lose, I practice till I can compete. And the best way to compete with the best is very simple. Play with the best. You want to find yourself making $10 million a year? Hang out with 5 guys that make $10 million a year. You want to become a better dad? Hang out with 5 amazing dads. Take your 5 closest people in your life, and a lot of them could be Steve Jobs if you read all of his books. If you read Steve Jobs all day long, every day you'll become more like Steve Jobs. Unfortunately, he passed away. But the point is, readers are leaders. You could hang out with people. If you make your individual time to read, you're actually hanging out with that person or those people in a crowd. So it's very, very simple. Surround yourself. And people say this all the time, but here's Jeff, if you want to become the best physique you've ever had, I'm going to give you the best secret, better than any diet. You eat healthy, low carbs. You stay away from caffeine and sugar. You exercise for an hour a day of cardio. You lift weights every other day for 45 minutes. You get enough sleep, and you don't drink, and you don't smoke cigarettes. You will have the best body you've ever seen. I tell that to a lot of people. Guess what? They're still fat. I'll tell you every secret you need to succeed in life. But most people are listening right now. They won't do it. I'll give you a good book to read if you get a chance. It's 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. It's one of my top 3. I just read it. And I'll tell you what, I just told you one of the best books. I do very well, but yet most people won't read it. They're going to put it in their notes, and they're going to come find it 6 months later and say, "Oh yeah, I remember last year I visited." Most people won't do it because they don't have the drive. They don't have the discipline. They don't have the need or the want to do it. So I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you this. I'm the most competitive SOB you'll ever meet, and I hate to lose. And when someone says I can't beat them, that's my number one goal in life, is to wake up and figure out a way to win.
So on the question of why, which you've covered a lot of things, is it because you've got a lot of whys why you're doing this?
I ran into Gary Vee for a couple hours a few months ago, and I said, a lot of people ask me, when is enough enough? And he goes, Tommy, I get that question every day. And he goes, it's just getting easier. He goes, now I just want to see how far I can go. He goes, I'm enjoying it. And I said, exactly. I tell my mom, well, it's getting easier. I mean, the world's becoming a smaller place. I don't know when it's so much fun and it's starting to, what's really fun for me is it's giving back. And I got to tell you, I got a buddy of mine, his name's John Rule, and he wrote the book Giftology. And I said, listen, I want to do something really special for my girlfriend. And earlier today, she opened up this box and it was a guy playing. It was a little TV playing when the box opens. And he said, your boyfriend must sure think you're special because he got this cup made for you. And she pulled open the cup and he goes, let's go through this. And there's a picture of, it's a scribbled out picture and it's got everything. Your favorite spot is the beach. And then it goes, this is your dog. And then it said, this is your niece and your sister. And this is you, your grandparents all putting your hands on you. And literally I'm getting goosebumps and she starts bawling. Okay. And you know what? It wasn't like it was a couple $100 thing. It was several $1,000s and it's just a mug, but the memories. And the deal is for me is I walked by the office earlier and she's got 7 gals in there and they're all crying. And it doesn't matter about money. I don't give 2 shits about the money. What I care about is the experience. Money is a tool, but the fact that I'm able to do things like that I never was able to do when I was younger, to travel, to go bring people with me, take my mom on a trip. I got to send my dad on a trip. He almost died during COVID. And I'll tell you this. I said, Dad, I'm going to send you with your girlfriend to Portland. I know that's where she's from. And all expenses, it didn't cost, but a few grand or whatever. And I got back and I seen him and both of them gave me the hardest hug they've ever given. Tears came down their eyes. They said, we really loved that. And my dad, I think he showed me 780,000 pictures and he's showing me waterfalls and everything. And he goes, man, and I go, it just feels good. It feels good that my dad, who almost passed away in his late 60s, got a time to experience something, that I didn't look, the employees, that my coworkers, they helped me with the ability to do this and they deserve. Someone once told me, don't let anybody come to your house and see a nice house. I'm like, yeah, that's BS. These guys have worked hard to do it. I don't hire people that are going to steal from me. I don't hire people that say, oh, look at Tommy. I don't care. They're all know that I'm in it to help them. And when you have that, don't do this. Don't let them know this. Do you know how many people know how much money we have right now in the bank? About 50. Do you know how much people know we hit the budget? Every single employee here. I don't care. I don't like everybody's so secretive. I don't open my own mail. I don't look at my own email. I got people that do all this stuff. I get cards. These cards came today. They're already opened. I haven't even looked at them yet, but everything's already opened. So, and my mom's just cried before and say, I don't know how you trust people, Tommy. And I go, here's the thing. I know I've been lied to, cheated, and stepped on. But that's a 100th of the time that people have done amazing for me. So I'm not going to dwell on the negative. I'm not a cup's half full. I'm everything's full, everything all the time. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I'll keep getting lied to, but you know what? I'm never going to be cold at the earth. I'm never going to be a Grinch and think, man, I'm so unlucky. My dad cheated on my mom. I was 6 years old. I walked out. My sister saw the note. They were bawling on the ground, crying. My dad looked at me, terrified. My mom got a divorce. My mom had to work 3 jobs. She was working at a restaurant, serving tables. She was bartending one night, and she was a realtor on high heels all day with open houses. She knocked down people's doors. A lot of my buddies used to laugh when my mom would knock on their door. She'd hand them magnets and say, I want to be your realtor. And she said, everything I touch turns to gold. Well, she worked her butt off. My dad was trying to save his business and fell apart. And my grandma had to come by 3 days a week. She'd help cook for us and take care of us kids. And my sister grew up kind of hating men. It was tough. I got a job pretty young because I didn't want to bother mom to try to have her buy something to work harder than she was working. But I'll tell you this, it's a pretty sad story. But here's the good side. My mom and dad, my dad came on every field trip and he was my soccer coach and my baseball coach. My mom showed up to every field trip too. They still gave us enough love and energy. My grandma was the best cook in the world. So I got the best food 3 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Me and my sister became best friends. I can tell you the story the first way and say, victim, I'm a victim. Look at me, poor me. I'm so sorry I didn't make it. Or I could say, man, I had the best childhood any kid could have asked for. And it's all in your outlook. I'll tell you one more. If you don't mind, I want to tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
So one day there's this woman, and she's this real nosy old lady, really bitter lady. And she looks outside and she goes, that lady's out there again. Look at her trying to hang up her clothes on the clotheslines. She's like, the clothes are always dirty. And the old man goes, just shut up. Mind your own business. Why are you so negative? And she goes, but I don't understand. Why does she wash her clothes? What? She doesn't know what she's doing. They're always dirty. And every day the old man would say, just mind your own business. And the old lady, and finally one day she walks out there and she goes, you're not going to believe this. The clothes are perfect. They're all perfectly clean. And he goes, yeah. You want to know why? She goes, why? He goes, because I washed the windows. So it's all on the outlook, right? The point of that whole story is you look out there, and if you're looking through a different lens, sometimes you see things in a different light.
You do. It certainly comes down to attitude. Now, one of the things I've loved about our conversation, Tommy, is Dream Manager. And I think that you learn a lot along the way and are still learning. You're curious, your insatiable curiosity to learn and grow. And you're giving back to your team, all 400 plus of them. You're giving back to other people and not shouting it from the rooftops. And I'm looking forward to hearing about in the future when we maybe catch up again, is hearing about how the dream management is going for your team, because I love that. It's really special.
I think so too. And I think it's weird when you give, sometimes you get 10 times more in return. There's this, and listen, I if you don't believe in the Bible or whoever, it's really something from the Bible, but take it for what it's worth. So there's this, I sent this to all my uncles and aunts the other day, and it says, the seed that fell on good soil represents those who truly hear and understands God's word and produce a harvest of 60, 70, even 100 times as much as has been planted. And that's Matthew 13:23. But the fact is, what I've realized is if you throw out the seeds and plant them and you give back, you receive it 10 times. I carry, when I go and speak to the new groups that come in, the 30 plus people, I always carry a boomerang. And I say, you know what? I throw this out there and I put it all out there. Sometimes I give a lot, but it always comes back to me tenfold. For some reason, it always comes directly back. And sometimes it doesn't come in the way of money. Sometimes it comes in the way of things that money can't buy. So if you keep this metaphor, and I also carry a tithing dish, you pass around a tithing for the
we have tithing.
So I tell all the guys when they walk in, I say, hey guys, any spare change, fill it up for me. If you only got a few bucks, that's fine. And they start like looking down at each other. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. I say, listen, if the priest or the pastor are going to talk about money for the first 10 minutes, believe it or not, I'm going to talk about door sales. I'm going to talk about money too. And I know you guys didn't talk about money in school or college. That's all I'm going to talk about, because guess what? You can't pay the bills with good looks or 5-star reviews. We pay it with sales, and we're going to talk a lot about sales. So I got to tell you, I just love this stuff. I can't explain it. And when I wrote the book, the Home Service Millionaire, I had Al Levy read it, and he says, Tommy, this needs a lot of work. So I went back and I got 12 other authors put stuff in it. I got Ara from he's a CEO of Service Titan. I got Alan Rohr, who explains how to do the perfect way to how you should price and how to do the accounting in your business. Al Levy talks about manuals. And so just by having those people, Grant Cardone once said, he said, man, when I hung out with millionaires, I became a millionaire. He goes, I learned my mission, vision, core values. It was amazing. And he goes, but when I hung out with billionaires, I heard how to delegate and how to network. Delegation and networking and understanding. And he goes, now it's pretty easy. I'm a billionaire. And I took that and I listened to it every day. I don't know if you can see this, but this is what I put, and I got this all over the place.
Good.
It's just some applications. So I try to listen to those kind of things and be around positive people. And, you know, if somebody starts complaining to me, I walk away and I say, I've got a manager for that. Go to them. If you got good news, call me any day. If you got the gospel, bring it. But I'm not going to be here to listen to your sorrows. Call someone else. You need help at home. You're having problems. I'll talk to you about your family if you're having a hard time, but I don't want to hear all the crap at work and this could be better and this and that. You can go to someone else for that stuff.
Well, what I've loved about today's conversation, which I enjoy every week, is to meet some of the smartest entrepreneurs all around the world. I don't fly. I just can end up having an hour conversation, and I've really loved our conversation and hearing your wisdom and experience and sharing it with my listeners and viewers. Thank you very much, Tom. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.